Okay, so here you see I've got my pre-slotted fretboard, which I'm using as a guide until I actually get a fret ruler. But I'm going to use these hash marks from the frets to actually mark out the frets on the ebony fretboard that I'm going to use for my guitar. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to use this hole punch to scribe a little point, and then I'm going to take off the fretboard and draw a straight line across them, and then we'll start cutting the frets. And I've got my fancy hammer. Alright, there it is. And now we'll just take this apart. That super glue masking tape trick works super awesome. Okay, so the first time I did this, I actually used a scalpel to scribe. I think I'm just going to use a pencil this time. When I used the blade, the scalpel to scribe, it was a little too fine, especially when I was trying to line up the blade for the cutting the fret slot. So I'm just going to try using pencil, and we'll see how that goes. I may need to go back to using that scalpel, but we'll see. Okay, so I've got my fret slot, my fret saw, and it has this little guard, so I can't make too deep a cut, and I've got it set to the depth that I want. And then I am going to use a ruler as a guide for the straight edge because I stink at sawing, and this actually helps me keep my strokes straight. So that's what I'm gonna try to use. fretboard is slotted, and now I'm going to prepare it to clamp onto the neck. So we'll get that going. Awesome. Woo-hoo. And we're back. So what I have now is I've got the neck and I've got the fretboard that's been slotted, and I'm going to make preparations to glue this up. But what I want to do is I want to put in some toothpicks as placeholders to keep the fretboard from sliding when I'm gluing it up, so that when I am finally clamping it down, it doesn't scoot around, which can happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drill. I'm going to drill down into the neck. I'm going to then put a toothpick down in there, and just got to make sure that it fits the guide. And once we do that, and I'll do a dry run with just being able to put it down. Once I do that, then I'll prepare the neck for gluing, and then we'll glue it up and clamp it on, and be done with the clamping of the neck. Okay, so what I've done is I've lined up the center line of the fretboard with the center line of the neck, and I know roughly where the truss rod is here, so I'm going to place two drill holes, enough for the width of the toothpick, and then we're gonna make sure that everything fits properly so that we can clamp everything down. So here we go. And what we've done here is we've put them in the fret slots themselves, and what this does is it lets us hide those dowels in the frets themselves. There we go. I'm going to take it apart and put them together. Okay, let's try this. We've got our two locating pins made of toothpicks in the neck itself. We've got our holes in our fretboard, and I'm going to try to locate them now. There we go. So the next step is, actually I'm just going to leave these in, and then we can locate them in this way instead. So the next step is going to be preparing the neck. Really what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some masking tape over the truss rod just so it doesn't get gummed up by glue, and then we'll actually glue this bad boy up. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get this taped up so that the truss rod is covered. I'm going to first take a piece of masking tape, just going to roll it up. I'm putting this here so that if there is a little bit of slack in the truss rod, once the fretboard is on, it doesn't rattle around. And the reason why I'm using masking tape to mask off the truss rod is so that when I'm gluing the truss rod, gluing the fretboard to the neck, that none of the glue gets into the truss rod channel and gums that mechanism up. Alright, so now that we have that, and we have our locating pins in here, the next step is going to be to glue up this bad boy. Okay, so now I have my my wood glue, and I'm using this card as a spreader. This is Intellectus Pen Company. This is my pen company moniker. I make custom fountain pens, and if you're interested, just go ahead and shoot me an email. Anyway, shameless plug. Okay, so I'm going to be spreading the glue onto the neck, and then spreading it out evenly, and then we're going to put the neck, the fretboard onto the neck, and then clamp it down, and hopefully that will be good. We're going to be using this, which is going to be used for clamping pressure to try to distribute the weight evenly, or the pressure evenly across the whole of the neck and fretboard. So here we go. and the locating pins are working just as planned. Here's another trick I found. You just nip these off now that they're in place. Use a chisel to Alright. So now we've got our piece of wood, which we call a clamping caul. I'm going to start clamping. I suppose I should have prepared these clamps ahead of time. Now I'm just going to start tightening up these clamps to apply even pressure throughout. And once you get to this step, then you just start wiping off excess glue before it gets a chance to harden. So there you have it. Just gotta let this sit overnight, and then we can start working more on the neck. All right.